But I can't get on Magic for the construction of this year's team because it's only meant to be for this season.
Yes.
And keeping your powder dry to be able to go after free agents and to be able to keep your assets in case you were able to pull off an Anthony Davis trade or a Kawhi Leonard trade. Brook Lopez, that's the one that I will quibble with him about because they needed shooting, outside shooting. Julius Randle, I think there's only so many young guys you can invest in at one given point to give them enough opportunities to not cause problems in the locker room.
Yes.
They already have Ball, they have Kuzma, they had Ingram.
And
a
even
fourth
Josh
guy's
Hart,
tough.
And Josh Hart, the way he had played in summer, he was up-and-coming young player they continued to develop.
And the thing with Randle is Randle was not taking a one-year deal.
Right.
And to sign him would have taken you out of the ability to guarantee yourself max cap space. I know people say, oh, well, you could trade him this summer. You could, yeah, maybe. But it would be a complicating factor. And you know what position Julius Randle plays? LeBron's position. Like, so Kuzma, this report is they wanted Brook Lopez and Julius Randle. Okay, so there's your center and your power forward. LeBron's playing small forward. So Ingram's going to play your 2, I guess, and Kuz is going to the bench. Like, that's the plan. Now, the Brook Lopez thing, like, I get it. It was $3.5 million.
Yeah.
You gave JaVale $2.5 million. You saw what Brook Lopez was for you last year. You saw LeBron excel with Channing Frye as a stretch 5 briefly before Channing got a little too old at the very end of the time in Cleveland. That's a fair criticism. The Julius Randle thing is total revisionist history that denies the reality that the most important thing about last offseason after getting LeBron was keep max cap space for this offseason. That's not a defense of Magic Johnson. That's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, Julius Randle, the reality of the situation, he's a one-dimensional player. He's left-hand dominant. He can't dribble with his right hand and or shoot with his right hand. He has limited range like other people, but he's outstanding compared to Ben Simmons, but he can't shoot the basketball. I know the highlights, we had him pulling a 3 with the Pelicans. Man, he wasn't doing that with the Lakers. So when you look at a guy having him and you're getting ready to extend him on this deal, man, how much money am I getting ready to pay a limited power forward? Like, you set yourself up that you're not going to be able to grow the roster. And the other players, the lottery picks, they looked more like they had more upside in Lonzo and Ingram. And you need to be able to focus on how I can build around them and keep developing their talent. Now, it is Magic to allow someone like Brook to be in the building because that should have been one of the first names that he gave to LeBron. Man, I think that you would be nice with Brook in the pick and roll, and he can give us more spacing on the court. And you're going to need a center anyway. So that $3 million or $2.5 million you're giving JaVale, you need a center anyway. You get some shooting, and you have a better center than the options that they have.
Just real quick, just to add to your point about Julius Randle's shooting. Last year with the Lakers, he shot half a 3 a game. He shot 1 3 every 2 games and shot 22%. This year with the Pelicans, 2.5 a game and shooting 35%. So he added that to his game this offseason, at least to a small degree. But with the Lakers, he showed no signs. He never shot threes, and he was bad when he did shoot them.
Well, here's the thing, and Magic has taken a lot of criticism this year for some of the statements that he's made, not being able to pull off the Anthony Davis thing and sort of putting his chips out.
Right.
But here's why I'll give him credit, guys. When he says that we want him to take the ball out of LeBron's hands more and more as his career winds down, you can see with the injury and where his game is going, that plan is not necessarily the worst thing in the world because if you lessen his usage, that means you stretch out his career, you maximize what you have left. That's what in the vacuum, the Rondo and the Lance and the Beasley was for. More playmakers. It didn't work out, but I can understand the strategy of it. It just didn't work out for this year, but this year doesn't cost you anything.
So how does Magic make this work out then? Does this all come down to just landing the big off-season free agent acquisition and then it makes everything okay? What happened this year?
Do you remember the Lakers last year? Because I don't.
Right.
Because seriously,
yes, absolutely.
you don't. We were a nondescript bunch, basically preparing themselves for LeBron. This year, they were LeBron in a nondescript bunch to a large degree. If you go out and get that second start, nobody's going to remember any of the drama that's happened this year because you're the Lakers and you're going to go back to being the Lakers.
I agree to a certain amount, but I'm with Jenna. There's other pieces. Like, I don't care if you trade the whole roster for Anthony Davis. You still got to get other pieces. You still got to get a guy that can shoot corner threes. You still need a guy that can shut down defense. So Magic, it's Magic. He's always going to be under the spotlight. Now, he's used to that. So a lot of times when you are a great player and now you're trying to have some other career, it's hard to be great at it. So for me, he'll always be under a microscope. And yet, to me, it's important, those other little players, because he's not going to do anything to get Anthony Davis there. All right? It's either the New Orleans decide he's going to send him there because of the assets. It's not going to be because of Magic Johnson. It's all those other little pieces. That's where you make your money as a general manager, and not signing bad contracts.
And he's done a good job on not signing bad contracts. The other part, we've seen no evidence that he or Pelinka know how to get into the minutiae of who's actually an effective NBA player at 12 minutes a night, that we could give 18 minutes a night. The Lakers' #1 offseason acquisition needs to be a player, whether it is Kawhi, Kyrie, Clay, Kimba, Anthony Davis, whomever. You know what their #2 offseason acquisition needs to be?
Finding a coach.
Well, okay, sure. Yes, they need a coach, but I think they have an idea of who that could be, or at least the short list. They need to call up my guy, Daryl Morey, or the smart guy in Boston, Mike Zarin, and find out who their right-hand man is and bring that guy over. They need a nerd with the Lakers. They need a guy who can figure out, you know what, this player.
I'm going to tell you what Lakers Nation is going to say, man. We ain't with those analytics. And what does Daryl got to show for it? What does Boston got to show for it? That's what because there are teams that love analytics, and there are other teams that necessarily don't know if I'm going to jump that way.
Well, you got to have a healthy. Here's the thing: you can't be all. You got to have a healthy balance.
And right now they got none of it, in my eyes. Right now they don't have. They have 2 guys in the front office that fill the same role, relationship role. Pelinka and Magic. One was an agent, the other's a legend. You need a number cruncher. You need a guy in there that can say, here's a contract, here's a guy that's undervalued as opposed to a guy that's overvalued. That's what I don't see in the Lakers front office.
Well, here's the other thing, too. LeBron has also played a big part in the construction of this team. He's going to play a big part in the construction of the team moving forward. So not just GM LeBron, player LeBron, everything else. He's going to have to straighten up his sort of managerial
3 guys were personally relationship guys.
As opposed to analytic. LeBron's not crunching those numbers. LeBron just knows who he thinks he could play well with, and that has been the weakest part of his basketball acumen, is assessing the talent of other players in the league.
I like it. Nick wants them to add a nerd, so their basketball game doesn't smell like a...
Vincent, thanks for joining us. Coming up, will Nick Foles have the Jaguars contending with the Patriots next up?
I knew something was coming.
Of course.